Hello, 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 hello. Gosh, big topic that I want to talk about today. I'm stood up, so my voice might sound a little different. Normally, when I do these, I am sat in my office at my desk on my computer chair or on a Swiss ball. Today, I'm stood up, and that is because I have quite a lot of pain in my sciatic nerve, and that actually, even though you might think that I'm going off on a tangent literally straight away, it actually has something to do with today's topic, which is about forgiveness, and it is about holding on to hurt, holding on to resentment, holding on to things in the past that you feel has in some way hurt you or wronged you, or something that you're kind of holding a grudge for. Now, what might that have to do with sciatic pain? I hear you asking. I'm going to get to that. Basically, fear, resentment, forgiveness, letting go, it's all festering inside your body. This is one of the things I've learned through the things that I have picked up over my journey to, changing my mindset and getting from that place where I started, which was anxious, pretty depressed, full of angst, full of resentment for so many things. And I was not only feeling that mentally, but I was feeling it physically as well. I didn't realize at the time, but all the stuff that I was holding onto in my mind, I was also holding onto in my body. And there is such a mind-body connection, which is why I feel that having sciatic pain today may well be to do with me holding on to something, may well be to do with me having to clear something out of my body, let go of something that I might be harboring some resentment for. And sometimes that thing that we're holding on to is obvious. Other times that thing that we're holding on to isn't so obvious, but it could be a niggling pain in your tummy, or a headache, or shoulder pain, or leg pain, sciatic pain, as in my case today. And have you ever read, I think, this is one of the things that if you've never read this book, if you've never read You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, I recommend you go out and get it, because she talks about pain in the body and discomfort in the body, and she gives a list of what it could be and what it can correlate to. So say you are feeling pain in your leg, that can correlate to something specific, and she actually has this list of things at the back, and it's brilliant. And I'm actually going to go and get my copy and have a look and see what my leg might be trying to tell me as I'm actually stood here chatting to you. It's a brilliant book, so go and read it. But anyway, that aside, I know when I am harboring resentment. I know when something isn't good with me. Now, I have learned to listen to my body, and I've learned to pick up on the signs over the years, and I've got pretty good at this. And some people, I have a friend, some people notice the signs. Their body literally shouts at them. My friend, actually, no matter what it is, there can be different things that are happening in her life, but if she does something that is out of alignment with her, her body will literally yell at her by giving her some physical symptom that something needs to change. And it's kind of a running joke between the two of us. She kind of says now, if she gets a lump here, or a headache, or feels a tummy ache or something, she's like, oh yeah, that's it. Jane would say, my body's telling me I need to do something, then I need to change something. But it's true. It's literally true. And I think the better we get at listening to our bodies, the more aligned we get, and the more we are able to change whatever it is that we need to change, to shift the energy, because that's all that pain is. It's something stuck energetically in your body that's causing you pain. And resentment, holding grudges, not forgiving, not letting go, can be one of the biggest things that can hamper you moving forward in your life when you are trying to change things, and when you are trying to become more aligned, and when you are trying to embody the practices and the things that I talk about. So many of us hold on to old hurt, to old pain. And the thing is, we think that somehow holding onto it is actually punishing the person, or the thing or the place, because it doesn't have to be a person. We think that holding onto that is actually punishing them, when in fact, you're actually punishing yourself. By holding on to something, by holding a grudge, by resenting, by not letting go, the only person we are hurting is ourselves. So if you have a situation in your life right now that you are holding some resentment for, that you are feeling angry about, that you are holding on to, you're not hurting that other person, you are hurting yourself, because the only person that feels it is you. The only person that gets upset by it is you. And the only person who struggles with it is you. There's a quote that I absolutely adore, and I try and remember it all the time. And basically what it says is, if you let go a little, you'll find a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will find a lot of peace. And I love that. And I try and remember it in times of hurt or anger or sadness or anxiety, because letting go can change all of those feelings. It can change all of those feelings. And there are a couple of ways of letting go, of clearing, of forgiving, that I just want to talk about today. One of them is writing letters of forgiveness. And I started to do this about maybe 3 years ago now, and it's been one of the biggest things that have made massive changes for me in my life. And basically what writing letters of forgiveness are is, if you are wanting to change your mindset, if you're wanting to feel better, and if you're wanting to sort of bring yourself into a higher vibe, higher energy, higher frequency, in order to manifest a better life, or something that you're trying to get, the old resentments that you have, the old things that you're holding onto, they can actually hamper you within that, and they can kind of stop it from happening, if you like. And so letters of forgiveness, letters of forgiveness can be for anything. They can be for people, they can be for places, they can be for things. I wrote letters back in the day to many things. I've got a book of them somewhere, which I probably should get out and read again, because actually reading them, rereading them, I write them all down, and rereading them actually helped me to clear it more. But basically what you do, sorry, I've gone off on a tangent. Basically what you do is you would write down what you are forgiving. Now, an example for me is my mum died. Those of you that don't know my backstory, my mum died when I was very young. I was only 8 when she died, and for a long time, for as long as I can remember, I thought that her dying was my fault. I thought that having me had in some way given her cancer. In my child brain, I blamed myself. But I also blamed her. As terrible as that may sound, my life literally changed overnight when she died, and I always blamed her for leaving me. And I didn't realise that I was doing this until I was an adult myself, and I could actually look at what I'd been doing with an adult mind, with adult emotion, with adult's perspective, not as a 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old child, and then a teenager, and then all of that angst as well on top. You know, I didn't realise that I was blaming her until a lot of years had passed. But I held on to that resentment. I held on to that blame for a very, very long time. And so one of the first people I wrote a letter of forgiveness to was my mum. And I wrote it to her. I forgave her for leaving me. I forgave her for so many things. I loved her, don't get me wrong. You know, this is not about me hating. This was about a child not being able to correlate what had happened in her life, not being able to understand the emotions, not being able to make sense in my head that she hadn't wanted to go. She didn't choose to leave me. She didn't choose to die. I had done that. I had made it that, because I didn't understand what had happened. And in my childlike brain, I needed to blame somebody. I needed to have an outlet for my pain and my anger, and that was it. But I'd hurt myself in the process, and this is what I say, it always comes back to the only person you hurt is yourself. Because, you know, I wasn't hurting mum by holding on to that resentment. I wasn't hurting mum by holding on to that pain that she'd left me, that she had wanted to go. The only person that I was hurting by feeling those feelings and holding on to that resentment was myself. And it had a massive impact on my life for a long, 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 long time. And it was only when I wrote this letter of forgiveness to her and got it all out on paper and just forgave her, but in the process also forgave myself for feeling those things, for being lost, for being angry, for feeling that that in some way she'd left me. The process of writing the letter to her actually released me from the pain as well. And so, that's one example of writing it to a person who is no longer here, so literally isn't feeling the resentment. I also wrote letters of forgiveness to New Zealand, because that's another way you can use this practice. I harboured a lot of resentment to New Zealand for a very, very, very long time. I was massively homesick. I wanted to go back home. I wanted to be with my family. And so I blamed New Zealand for my unhappiness. The problem with that is, it's not New Zealand that's making me unhappy. It's myself that's making me unhappy. Because I am harbouring all this resentment towards a country that can't feel anything. And so the only person that I am hurting by that resentment and by those feelings and by that frustration that I was still living in this country I didn't want to live in, the only person that was feeling that was me. The country, New Zealand, wasn't feeling it. That didn't have a clue that I was feeling all of this resentment to it. And so I was harbouring all of this, and it was festering, and it was making me feel bad. And so by writing a letter to New Zealand and forgiving it and listing all of the things that I love about this country, it helped me to release the anger that was within me. And after that, I felt massively better. So that's one process, and I really encourage you, if you are holding on to anything, if you are angry about anything, if there's something that you feel has wronged you, if there's somebody that you feel has wronged you, if there's some place that you feel has wronged you and it is impacting on your life, write it a letter of forgiveness and let it go. Get it out of your body, get it on paper. If you cry, if you get angry, if you rage, that is good, because you are letting go of all the emotional energy behind it. I cried buckets when I wrote the one to my mum. I literally cried buckets, but I felt so much better afterwards, because that had been in me for like 40 years, literally, almost. And I needed to let it out. And so by writing it down and releasing it and getting rid of the anger and the pain and the frustration and the sadness, all of that was lifted from my body, and I felt so much lighter, so much lighter. And in that lightness came better energy, and I became happier, and I understood more about other things that I'd then been holding on to, that kind of all were one and the same within that pivotal moment of my life. It brought up other things that I could then release and forgive. So, letters of forgiveness. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of clearing and forgiving and letting go of anger is a prayer that is called Hooponopono, I think. I hope I've said that correctly. Now, the Hooponopono prayer, as it's known, was I first heard about it from a practitioner called Dr. Hugh Len. I read about it in a book by Dr. Joe Vitale, who was in The Secret, and amazing stories in the book. And I read about this Hooponopono prayer, and basically what Dr. Hugh Len had done is it was in Hawaii, and he'd gone to work in a mental institution, and it was a place that was pretty full of very, 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 very damaged people. And Dr. Hugh Len basically cured, for want of a better word, cured them all through the Hooponopono prayer. He didn't ever enter their cells. He didn't ever touch them. He didn't ever give them medication. Literally all he did is he opened their file and he said, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." Over and over and over again. And the way it works, the premise behind it is that when you read about something that makes you react, when there is something within you that causes a bad feeling, or that causes anger, or that causes pain, it's within yourself. And if you say, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," enough, over and over and over and over, it clears that feeling within your own body, which in turn clears it within the thing, place, person that you are still harbouring that resentment for. And so it doesn't matter the order that you say it. It doesn't matter, if you get it mixed up, and you just say the 4 phrases. And if you are feeling a feeling, if you are feeling a anger, if you're feeling a hurt, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling anything that's not nice, you just say, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." And it literally clears the feeling from within you and lets go and helps you to release. And it is one of the easiest things that you can do. It literally takes seconds, and you can repeat it throughout your day. I'm sorry is a lovely thing to say, because you are literally saying I'm sorry to yourself for feeling this feeling. You are literally giving yourself permission to have felt what you felt. Please forgive me is also, I'm sorry, self. Please forgive me for feeling the way I felt for such a long time. I didn't mean to hurt you. Thank you, because you are forgiving yourself. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. And then I love you is the nicest thing you can say to anybody. And there is no bad feelings within the statement I love you. It's just not possible. So those 4 things really can help you get rid of the deep-seated resentment, the deep anger, the deep things. And I do want to preface this by saying, if you have been wronged by somebody really terribly, and somebody did something horrifically bad to you, you don't need to forgive them because they wronged you. They did something that was bad, that was horrible. But you do need to forgive yourself. You do need to forgive yourself for holding on to the grudge, because it's not helping you to heal. It's not helping you to move forward in your life, and it's not helping you to go to a better feeling place within your mind and body. And so those 2 things are the easiest methods that I can give you. If you're a writer, write it down. If you're not, and the thought of journaling, some people don't like to journal or script or put pen to paper. If that's not you, just say the Hooponopono prayer. Going back to Louise Hay, she was also the person that taught me mirror work, which is where you look deep into your own eyes within the mirror and you actually say I love you, and you actually speak nicely to yourself. For some people, looking deep into their own eyes and actually saying the words I love you feels like the most impossible task, feels like the most horrendous thing that you could possibly do to yourself, because you don't talk to yourself nicely in the privacy of your own head. So why I should say to you that it's easy to say I love you looking deep into your eyes, because that's really personal. That's really full of emotion, and is a step too far for a lot of people. So I would challenge you, if you are one of those, to say the Hooponopono prayer to yourself, because you are saying I love you, but you are not just saying I love you. You're saying I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It's easier. It's easier to say those 4 phrases together whilst looking into your own eyes than it is to just say I love you. Somehow it doesn't feel as icky, for want of a better word. It doesn't feel as hard to do, but it will make the most massive difference in your life if you can start to do that, because you want to forgive yourself, you want to get rid of the pain, you want to stop the resentment, you want to stop it from festering within your body, because that will make you feel so much lighter. It will bring you in alignment. It will make everything within your life better. Self-love, self-acceptance, it's literally the key to everything. And when you release the old hurt, it makes the self-love and the self-acceptance so much easier, because suddenly you've got nothing inside you that you're holding on to a grudge about. You've got nothing inside you that's making you feel angry. You've got nothing inside you that is causing you pain, because you're clearing it all out. So yeah, it makes the self-acceptance and it makes the self-love easier, and it changes your mindset, and it You know, like I always say, change your mindset, change your life. It seriously is the key to everything. So I implore you, anyone who is listening, if you have anything that you are holding onto that is stagnant within your body, if you are harbouring resentment or anger for anything, try one or both of these methods and just see how much better you feel, see how much lighter you feel, and let me know how much you do and what differences it makes and how much better it makes you feel. I would love to hear some success stories. I really would. I adore this stuff, and I know the differences that it can make in your life if you put one of these things into practice.